In the quiet town of Willow Creek, Oregon, on a crisp autumn morning in October 2024, our lives unraveled in ways I never could have imagined. My name is Nathan Carter, and I thought I knew my family inside and out. I was wrong, dead wrong. It all started when our HOA president, Margaret Hensley, knocked on our door with what she called a life-changing opportunity for our 12-year-old son, Ethan. She wasn't just any HOA president. She was a force of nature, ruling our neighborhood with an iron grip since her husband and son died in a tragic fire 2 years prior. At first, I chalked her obsession with control up to grief, her measuring lawns with a ruler, sending violation notices for a mailbox slightly askew. But I soon learned her need for control masked something far darker. My wife, Emily, seemed like your typical work-from-home mom, a compliance analyst for a government contractor. She'd been working remotely for 8 months, ever since we moved to Willow Creek. Her job involved evaluating community programs, which explained her endless questions about neighborhood activities. So I thought. Emily was meticulous, staying up late drafting reports, taking cryptic business trips she couldn't discuss due to confidentiality. I trusted her completely. After all, government work often involves sensitive information. Ethan, our son, was the kind of kid who lit up a room, athletic, kind, always helping neighbors with chores. But his trusting nature, I later realized, made him the perfect target for Margaret's scheme. That October morning, Margaret sat at our kitchen table, her smile polished as she spread out glossy brochures. "It's called the Future Leaders Initiative," she said, her voice dripping with enthusiasm. 6 weeks on a rural estate, learning leadership through hands-on agricultural work. Kids earn $75 a day and gain real-world skills. Ethan's eyes sparkled with excitement, but Emily's reaction was a red flag I missed. Her smile froze, her grip on her coffee mug so tight her knuckles whitened. She asked pointed questions about insurance, background checks, adult-to-child ratios, but Margaret deflected with vague, practiced answers. Ethan, though, was sold. "Dad, Mom, this could be amazing. I'd live on an estate, learn to lead, maybe even stay longer if I love it." His enthusiasm was infectious, but Emily looked like she'd seen a ghost. Over the next few days, Emily's behavior grew stranger. Her questions about the program were oddly specific, like she was probing for something she already suspected. She used terms like coercive recruitment and psychological profiling that didn't sound like policy jargon. Then, outside the local market, I overheard our neighbor, Sarah Thompson, warning Emily about Margaret's program. Sarah's daughter, Lily, had joined 2 months earlier and hadn't returned as promised. "Margaret keeps making excuses," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "I think Lily's being held somewhere against her will." Emily's face confirmed she knew more than she was letting on. That night, I confronted her. "What's going on, Emily? You're acting like you already know something's wrong." She brushed it off as professional caution, but I wasn't convinced. The next morning, while she showered, her phone buzzed with a text. "Target has selected primary asset. Timeline accelerated. Need backup in 36 hours. My stomach dropped. This wasn't policy work, this was something else entirely. When Ethan burst in, beaming about being accepted into the program, Emily's terror was palpable. She paced the house that evening, making hushed calls and typing furiously, ending conversations abruptly when I entered. The woman I'd been married to for 9 years was a stranger, and our quiet life in Willow Creek felt like it was teetering on the edge of a cliff. I started digging into Emily's job. She claimed to work for Horizon Compliance Group, but their website was a shell, no staff, no testimonials, just a generic voicemail. Her business trips involved no client meetings, only vague field research. Her home office held files she guarded fiercely, but I glimpsed documents that looked like surveillance logs, not policy reports. Meanwhile, Margaret was relentless, calling Ethan directly, praising his unique leadership potential and offering a permanent mentorship that made my skin crawl. Emily's behavior grew erratic. She was documenting Margaret's every move, photographing kids at program orientations, noting license plates. This wasn't a concern, Mom. This was professional surveillance. The tension exploded at an emergency HOA meeting. Margaret called to pressure us publicly. In front of 40 neighbors, she framed us as defiant parents denying Ethan a golden opportunity. She presented participation agreements, that were actually custody transfer forms, granting her legal guardianship over Ethan, including medical decisions and interstate travel rights. My blood ran cold. Sarah stood up, demanding answers about Lily's whereabouts. Margaret's response was chilling. Lily's thriving in her new environment. Some children choose to stay for stability. The room froze as her words hung in the air, a thinly veiled threat. Emily whispered to me, "This isn't a program, Nathan. I've been investigating it professionally. We can't sign those papers." Her use of professionally hit me like a sledgehammer. Our life in Willow Creek, our marriage was all a cover for her real mission. I confronted her that night. "Are you FBI? What are you hiding?" Her silence spoke volumes, but she admitted, "Ethan's in real danger." "Trust me, Nathan." Trust was the last thing I could offer when my wife was living a double life. The next morning, Margaret escalated her attack, calling the police with a fabricated story about Emily threatening HOA board members. Officers arrived, treating us like troublemakers, but Emily's demeanor shifted. She presented federal credentials I'd never seen, identifying herself as Special Agent Emily Carter, FBI Crimes Against Children Unit. She laid out evidence photos of children in unsafe work conditions, financial records of payments to Margaret, logs of kids moved across state lines without oversight. The officer's skepticism turned to shock as Margaret's facade crumbled. She shrieked accusations, claiming Emily was stalking her program, but Emily's calm professionalism exposed her desperation. The FBI swooped in hours later, arresting Margaret on federal exploitation charges. Raids on the estates rescued Lily and 3 other children, all subjected to grueling labor, isolation, and psychological abuse. The truth about Emily's mission was even more devastating. Sealed files I found revealed Ethan wasn't my biological son. His real father, Victor Kane, was a fugitive running a child trafficking network. Emily had been assigned to our family to monitor Ethan, expecting Kane to contact his son. Our marriage was a lie, built to use Ethan as bait. Margaret had targeted him because of his connection to Kane, believing his lineage made him valuable. When I confronted Emily, she broke down. "I fell in love with you and Ethan. It started as an assignment, but you became my family." We told Ethan the truth about his father, and his response floored me. "You chose to love me, Mom, even when you didn't have to." His words rebuilt a bridge I thought was burned. Margaret was sentenced to 25 years, her assets seized for victim compensation. Willow Creek transformed, with new HOA leadership prioritizing child safety. Emily's work led to the Carter Protocol, a national standard for youth program oversight. Ethan and Lily became advocates, turning their trauma into purpose. But questions linger. Was Emily protecting Ethan or using him as bait? Did the FBI know Margaret was linked to Kane from the start? Why did they choose our family, and what else might they be hiding? Comment your theories below, hit that like button if this story gripped you, and subscribe for more tales of justice and betrayal. Where are you watching from? Let's unravel the truth together.